two cats are fighting on the road. And you know what they're fighting about? Both of them want to eat a yummy bun. A monkey walks by. Hmm, hmm, hmm. What are you two fighting about?
Mine! Mine! No, no, it's mine. I only saw it first. No, it's mine. I only reached it first. I reached. You're a copycat.
Oh, ho! Both of you, stop fighting. Give me the bun. So he takes the bun and breaks the bun into two. Now there are two halves. And he looks at both the halves and says, oh, this piece, no, it looks big. So he takes a small bit of it and the bun is indeed very yummy.
Oi! Excuse me, Mr. Monkey. Her piece is bigger than mine.
Oh, of course. I am a very fair monkey. So he takes a little bit from the other side and one of the cats is crying. Why are you crying?
Her piece is bigger than mine.
Oh, of course. And he takes a little bit and a little bit and keeps eating till the whole bun is in his tummy. That's the story of the two cats, the monkey and the yummy bun. Hi, I'm Preeti and it's an absolute delight to be your storyteller this morning. Now, when I started this journey of storytelling, I used to get mixed reactions from people. Storytelling? Meaning you just get to say stories? Must be nice, no? But I also get some genuinely excited reactions, but they would say, I've never met a storyteller before. And I just smile and I'd nod, but here's the thing, I think that's not true. I think everyone is a storyteller. Yeah, everyone. If you crib to your spouse or your parent about the bad day you've had, you're a storyteller. If you give people nicknames, you're a storyteller. If you have to explain your nickname, you're a storyteller. If you crib about the mosquitoes or the weather, you're a storyteller. If you say that curd is ice cream just so your child could eat it, trust me, you're a storyteller. Now, you've all heard the story of the hare and the tortoise. You know, the one in which both the animals get into a fight and they want to see who's the fastest, so they have a race. And the hare, of course, because he's had some yummy carrot biryani for lunch, decides that he's going to take a nap in the middle of the race, sure that he's anyway going to win, whereas the tortoise is whistling and nudging along, and he's the winner of the race. And you know the moral goes, slow and steady wins the race, and there's a huge forest fire and all the animals die. Hold on, back up a bit. I've never heard that version of the story before. Well, here's the thing. There was a forest fire that night and it was fast approaching the forest. Now, all the animals who'd gathered for the race, the hare, the tortoise and all the audience, they were on top of the mountain at the finish line. From there, they could see the forest fire, which was coming close to the forest. And they had to send someone down to warn the other animals, right? So, they have a round table conference and decide who they're going to send.
Quing, quing, meow, meow, cluck, 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 cluck. Me, 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 me.
And they decide to send the fastest animal, who was of course the winner of the race, the tortoise, yes. And the tortoise hurries along, slowly nudging along, and he goes, she'll be coming down the mountain, coming down the mountain, coming down the... Can you tell me, does slow and steady still win the race? Do you think that the other animals in the forest got saved? Something to think about. Now, we've all heard this, right? Slow and steady wins the race. A friend in need is a friend indeed. A bird in hand is worth two in a bush. But I feel we get so engrossed in teaching morals using stories that we kind of lose sight of the fact that stories are meant to be fun, amusing, and entertaining. Now, entertainment can mean anything. Entertainment can mean action, humor. Entertainment can be that waiting at the edge of your seat just to know what happens next. Movement, dance, song, all of this is entertainment. Now think of it personally. What are the stories that you remember from when you were a child, or even stories that you hear now? What really sticks? The ones that you find entertaining and engaging, right? Yeah. I personally love telling silly stories because I love listening to silly stories. And children love silly characters. Silly characters like Supandi, a famous one right from the time when we were children, and Amelia Bedelia. So Amelia Bedelia, if you ask her to draw the curtains, she would basically sit on a chair, take some paper and draw a curtain. That's silly Amelia Bedelia. Or children love witty characters like Birbal, Tenali Raman, Matilda. These are all funny stories that children laugh so much for. I'd say use stories that your children resonate with and use characters that they identify with. Children love characters like Gajapati Kulapati, the happy elephant, a cat in the hat, Olaf the snowman. Oh, my list of characters is endless. As a storyteller, you get to take the child on this amazing journey where they get to believe you and trust in you. Now, if it's one thing that all my stories have in common, it's that I enjoy them. As a storyteller, if you don't like your stories, don't expect your audience to like them either. But if you like your story, you can get your audience to fall in love with it. I love Indian stories. Stories from Indian history, the Panchatantra, Jataka tales, folk tales from India, and of course folk tales from around the world. I love this folk tale which I've heard from Africa. So there's this huge lake, and you know who lives in lakes? Crocodiles. So the crocodile is so hungry and he's walking and searching for food when he bumps into the cluck, 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 the chicken. Whoa! He goes and opens his mouth when the chicken says, "Brother!" Huh? How am I your brother? Oh, Mr. Crocodile, you're my brother, no. Don't eat me, okay? Okay, bye. Cluck, 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 cluck. Now, just as the crocodile is all confused on what's happening, the chicken has escaped. On the second day, the crocodile is on his walk and he bumps into the same chicken. Hoi, you're the one who called me brother, no? Yes, Mr. Crocodile, you're my brother only, no? Oh, how am I your brother? Oh, Mr. Crocodile, you know, I'm a chicken. You know that I'm a chicken, no? And you're a crocodile. Chicken lays eggs. Crocodile also lays eggs. Birds lay eggs. Fish lay eggs. Snakes lay eggs. All the animals that lay eggs are my brothers and sisters. Okay, Mr. Crocodile. See you later. Cluck, 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 cluck. Push. The chicken disappears. That is a funny story which I love to say all the way from Africa. And I think it was one of the first stories that I performed as well. Now, after one such performance, I received a frantic phone call from a mother. Ma'am, good evening. You remember my son, he attended your workshop 1 month back. So I continued listening to the story. So she goes, "Ma'am, he's talking all nonsense. Nothing I can make sense. He told me to call you and maybe you will be able to explain." So today in school, they've given project. In the project, he has to say which animal lays eggs, which animal does not lay eggs, ma'am. Instead of saying the correct name, no ma'am, he's saying brother, not brother, brother, not brother. Making no sense, ma'am. He's an only child. He has no brother, sister and all. As soon as I heard this, I burst out laughing and I had to explain the whole story to her over the phone. So just imagine, brother, not brother. Something so simple, right? And a child who's all of 7 or 8 has grasped onto one particular point from a story and he has somehow learnt the concept of mammals and oviparous, and unknowingly so. And I have to admit, I didn't set out to teach any kind of concept with the story. I mainly do the story because there's a lot of laughter and some dancing as well, which the children do with me. I recently saw a poster which said that storytelling is a Trojan horse for learning. Think about that. Now, learning does not necessarily mean just math and science, although I've just shown that you can use stories to teach those concepts as well. But learning in children happens in different ways. Children are learning how to think, they are learning to concentrate, learning to be mindful of the children around them when they are listening to stories. And of course, they are learning to listen and possibly retell the story. So learning happens all the time, no matter how subtle it may seem. So I urge you all, tell your children, tell your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews, your students, tell them stories. Tell them stories to entertain, to engage, and possibly to educate as well. Stories from history, stories from the classics, stories from your own lives, about your parents, your grandparents, any story to magnify their imagination and build empathy. May the word storytelling never get the prefix, the lost art. Now you all must be wondering, it's all well and good, ma'am, but where am I going to go and find these stories? To that I'd say, stories are everywhere. Just look around you. Peeping out the window, if you see 2 little boys rolling a cycle tire and talking about something, that's a story. My mother turning an uninteresting meal by making small balls out of the rice, saying this mouth is for mum, this mouth is for the dog, this mouth is for the fox, that's a story. My brother and me exchanging stories over our walkie-talkie, or my cousins and their little peeping eyes from under the blanket as we'd sit in the dark and share mildly entertaining horror stories. These are all excellent personal stories. A train journey, the airport, filled with stories waiting to be told. Museums, oh, I love museums and palaces. They are just filled with history and stories are so concrete, like you have something to show for each story. The rain, we'd say God is crying when it was raining, or thunder saying, oh, he's angry. Lightning, the sun, the moon, everything around us carries a story. And if I were to bring it to a more relevant today's context, I'd say a mother explaining the COVID lockdown to her 5-year-old, saying the king has asked them to stay home. A story. So we moved to Bangalore recently, and my neighbor had 2 little boys and the youngest was about the same age as my son as well, and he'd drop in to play from time to time. So one such evening, my son was busy doing his jigsaw puzzle. So this little boy comes up to me and says, "Auntie, I'm bored. Maybe I'll listen to a story." Oh, I was so excited. The storyteller in me just woke up. And as I was mentally scanning on what story I should say, he walks up to the speaker seriously hurting my storyteller pride. And he goes, "Okay, Google." So this was the conversation that happened with this little 3-year-old boy's accent. "Okay, Google, tell me a story." "Sorry, I didn't understand." "Okay, Google, tell me a story." "Calling Sony." "Who would you like to call?" "Dr. Sony." "Sony World." "Sony, bad news. Don't answer." Oh, okay, Google, play Baby Shark. And the song started playing. Phew, as I breathed a sigh of relief, at least I know that the digital world has not yet overtaken storytelling, and storytelling is an art that's here to stay. For the moment, at least. Thank you very much.